Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Lena, this is Lena's Bookshelf, and today we are going to go through my Book of the Month collection. My whole collection of all the Book of the Month books that I've read and I'm keeping on my shelves are behind me here, and we're going to go through them one by one, and I'm just going to show them to you. So Book of the Month is a monthly book service. They give you 5 options and you pick from them. It's a good way if you kind of don't know what your tastes are in reading, or if you like a certain genre but you're kind of open to trying different things. It's a good way to kind of get out of your comfort zone. I'll have a link below. I'll have my referral link that you can use if you want to sign up. I think I get like a credit or something if you use it, but I think you get a little bit of money off with that referral link, and I'll put it down below. It's like 15 bucks per month for a hardback book, which is nice. And then on top of that, on top of the picks, you can get add-ons. And if you don't like any of the picks, sometimes you can pick like a member favorite. They give me a credit on my birthday because I'm a bestie or whatever. So I've been a member for so long. I've gotten a cool candle from them. I got a cool bag from them, all kinds of stuff. They do like kind of yearly book challenges. So it's super fun. They have a website and an app. So I definitely recommend checking them out. But we are going to get into this. I may not talk too much about each book. I'm kind of just going to show you. I might say I liked it, I didn't like it, or well, most of these I like. Most of them are staying here because I like them, but there's 1 or 2 that I'm keeping that aren't really my favorites. I wouldn't read again, but I want to keep them for whatever purpose. All right, so first we have Pretty Little World by Kevin Wilson. This book is kind of like a kind of sci-fi-ish. Next we have The Damage by Caitlin Ware. And this is a kind of mystery family drama, kind of like a domestic thriller. I loved it, and I love this cover, and it's definitely one that I could see myself rereading. Next we have An Anonymous Girl by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. This is my favorite one of this author duo. It's the only one of their works that I've kept, and it's definitely one that I could see myself rereading. Next we have The Maid by Nita Prose. I really enjoyed this one. This is a cozy mystery. It's the first and only cozy mystery I've ever read. It's just like wholesome and adorable, and the character in here is just so sweet and so funny, and so I could definitely see myself rereading this. Next we have Good Is Gone by Amy Gentry. This book I am keeping because this is actually the very first Book of the Month book that I ever got in October of 2016. I'm keeping it even if I never reread it, but I think I would. It's kind of a kidnapping story. Girl was kidnapped years ago and shows up, and her family's not sure if it's actually her because it's been so long. Amy Gentry also has another book recently that came out, and I need to get that one and read it as well. Next we have Not a Happy Family by Sherry Lapina. And I've liked other Sherry Lapina books. This one was fine. It was kind of a Knives Out type of thriller. A family member died, and they're trying to figure out which family member killed them, if any of them did. Kind of a fun, like, kind of rich family drama. Next we have Miracle Creek by Angie Kim. This book is so emotional, so good. It's not a thriller, so don't go into it expecting a thriller, but there is mystery. It is definitely a character study, and there is courtroom scenes. It's about an Asian American family living in Virginia. This horrible thing happens to them, and they're trying to figure out who did it, what happened. It's not really a whodunit type of mystery. Like, you find out pretty quickly why the murder happened and who's responsible, but definitely following the characters as they figure it out and following the characters as they move forward was so good. And this cover is gorgeous, and I just loved it. Next we have The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. This is kind of a fun, kind of supernatural thriller. It's the first Simone St. James book I read. It's not my favorite by her, but I think I would like to try and get all of her backlist. Next we have The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. And if you haven't heard or seen this book, then where have you been? Everybody knows about this or has read it or whatever. I'm not gonna, spoil all of it, because I know some people have been spoiled for it and they're like not happy about it, but basically this woman supposedly committed murder, and now she won't talk about it, and so this therapist is going to try to get her to talk about it. Kind of polarizing views on this. Some people seem to have, some people love it. I know some people that really didn't like it, but one of the ones that did. I fell into the hype. Next up we have People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. This is such a cute friends to lovers romance. I'm so excited for her new one that's coming out. Next up we have Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I think I own all the Riley Sager books. It's kind of a haunted house vibes type of thriller. Next, we have The Girl in the Mirror by Rose Carlyle. I'm keeping this one for now, but I might unhaul it at some point. I did give it 4 stars when I read it, but now I'm at the point where I don't really remember much about it. Twins who went on a boat and then only one of them came off, so they're trying to figure out what happened to the other twin. Next, we have The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins. I did enjoy this. This is a Jane Eyre retelling. I did not like Rachel Hawkins' new book that just came out, Reckless Girls, but I enjoyed this one. Next, we have Beach Read, the other Emily Henry book. This one shocked me. This is my first Emily Henry book that I read. It reminded me how good romance novels can be, especially because Emily Henry has a good way of bringing in some like emotional stuff and some kind of other plot twists that kind of take away from the romance for a little bit, but aren't just completely out there. They add to it, but it's good if you just don't want people just like lovey-dovey talking about love and, you know, sleeping together all the time. It's kind of a good mix of things, kind of an enemies to lovers romance. Next up, we have The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. I've had this book for a long time, since August of 2016. It's one of the first Book of the Month books I ever got. It does have a cool plot twist at the end. It's kind of a cool, I guess you would call it like a locked door mystery. People are on a cruise and somebody disappears and they're trying to figure out why before the boat docks, I guess. So we have The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I've not picked up anything else by Lucy Foley since this because I haven't really been intrigued by anything else that she's written, but I did enjoy this. I enjoyed the multiple POVs. I enjoyed the kind of rich people stuck on an island for a wedding, trying to figure out who's killing who. Next, we have The Push by Ashley Audrain. This may not stay in my collection forever. I actually didn't like this book. I gave it 2 stars, but I have read other books like this and I enjoyed them. So I kind of want to keep this around, almost to kind of compare to the other books similar to this that I have read. Next, we have Too Good to Be True by Carola Lovering. And this is the only book I've read by this author, but I really enjoyed this. And I'm picky with domestic thrillers, but this one was good. A man that's married starts dating this girl, and then you find out that it's not just any random girl that he's dating. The girl that he's dating struggles with OCD, and he kind of starts, unfortunately, using that to his advantage and not being so nice to her about it. All right, moving down to the next shelf, we have The Collective by Allison Galen. I love this book. This is definitely a like badass females getting revenge type of book. Next, we have Dead Letters by Kate Dolan Leach. This was kind of a weird, a very bizarre book about 2 sisters that live at a winery, and one dies, but then her sister starts getting letters almost from the grave. It was bizarre, but it was just weird enough that I still remember it to this day, and I read it in 2017. So this is something that I keep meaning to reread. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Next, we have The Shadows by Alex North. This is kind of a murders happened in the past and now is there a copycat killer type of story. It was fine. I gave it 4 stars. I don't think I would pick up another Alex North book, but I did like this one and I am going to keep it on my shelf. Next, we have A Good Marriage by Kimberly McCreight. This is not my favorite Kimberly McCreight book, but it was fine. I gave it 4 stars, but the more I sit with it and the more I read some kind of other courtroom mysteries, some other legal thrillers, the less I like this one. It kind of moves further and further down the list of legal thrillers. So I might unhaul this one at some point, but keeping it for now. Next, we have Pretty Little Wife by Darby Kane. This was kind of exactly what it seems like. Wife and husband. Wife thinks she murders husband and then his body goes missing. So then she's trying to figure out, okay, did she actually kill him? What's going on here? Kind of thing. I liked it when I read it, but again, it's kind of moving down the list of domestic thrillers, so I may not keep it forever. Next, we have Survive the Night by Riley Sager. I know this book's kind of polarizing. People either love it or they hate it. I was kind of indifferent about it. It was fine. Pretty basic, you know, nostalgic kind of locked door type of thriller. Not sure I would reread it, but I'm definitely going to keep it because I do own all of Riley Sager's books. Speaking of which, we have Lock Every Door. This isn't my favorite Riley Sager, but it might be my second favorite. Yeah, and I like the cover. I like the pink and purple. Next, we have the last. I hit myself in the face. I probably scratched myself. Next, we have The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. Well, of course, you know that. we're talking about all of Riley Sager's books right now. Anyways, this is my favorite Riley Sager book. This has all of the creepy summer camp vibes, and I am here for it. I grew up going to summer camp. It was like the best part of my summer, and so I felt like I was in the cabin with these people when all of this was happening, and so good. I've reread it, and I'll probably reread it again this summer. And we have Final Girls by Riley Sager. This is his first book, and I liked this. I don't know that it's one of my top Riley Sager books, but it was enjoyable. Kind of one of those things. One girl survived this massacre, and now later on she's trying to figure out if the murderer is coming back for her. Next, we have The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. This was the book of the year, 2020. I love this cover. This was a fine book. It was good. I enjoyed it. I gave it, I guess, 4 stars if I kept it. I don't know that I would reread it, but I definitely want to keep this on my shelf to be able to recommend to people and to loan out to people who are interested. I have Alice Feeney's Rock, Paper, Scissors. This was my first Alice Feeney. It's also the one that I've enjoyed the most. I like this. I know there's kind of, you know, this is one of those books people either love or hate, kind of one of those locked door mysteries. I like locked door mysteries. I like things that are done in a short time frame. I like things that are, you know, they're kind of trying to escape or trying to figure out what happened in a small space and in a short span of time. So I like things like that. I also thought that the twist at the end of this was pretty good. Next, we have Long Bright River by Liz Moore. This is probably the only thriller that was from a detective's point of view that I have loved and given 5 stars. This is so good. It's long. It's definitely a very character-driven story. And I just really enjoyed this one. And it's never one that I thought I would enjoy. It's almost 500 pages and I read it in 2 days. So that's how good this was. And I definitely want to reread this at some point. A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. This one I really enjoyed. This was a very fun, very cozy thriller. Girl's father is a serial killer and now these murders are happening again, even though her serial killer father is in prison. So we're trying to figure out what happened. We have The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. This is my favorite Simone St. James book that I have read. A lot of dark academia vibes, very small town murder vibes. We have The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. This is my second favorite Simone St. James book. I really enjoyed this one. I just read it just a couple weeks ago and I definitely could see myself rereading it. We have Since We Fell by Dennis Lehane. This book is from May of 2017. And this is the same person that wrote Shutter Island. And so I was intrigued by it at the time, but it sat on my shelf for a long time. And then my friend Gwen, her channel is Gwendolyn Kensinger. I'll link it up in the cards, but she read this and this was like one of her favorite books of last year. And so I was like, okay, I'll pick it up. I'll read it if Gwen loves it. And Jordan picked it up as well. I'll link Jordan's channel too. And maybe if I can find a video, maybe I'll link one of their videos. And then we have Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. This is my favorite Gillian Flynn, and that's a kind of an unpopular opinion. I don't think very many people have read this one, but most people read like Sharp Objects and Gone Girl, but this is actually my favorite of her books. So the last 3 books I have not actually read yet. I have 56 Days, haven't read it yet. I have The Hunting Wives, haven't read it yet. And I have Like a Sister, and that was the pick for this month. So let me know if you've read any of those and if you think I should definitely move them up higher on my TBR and make them a priority to read. Thanks so much for going through my Book of the Month shelf with me. Like I said, I will link all of the Book of the Month's information down below. I'll link some other videos. Thanks so much for watching.